How do you change 6 billion people?
I didn't know how bad anxiety could be.
Also, you're young and frivolous and have the capacity to consume everything that's happening.
Passion doesn't last very long if your paycheck is not great. So either you get the paycheck or you get the passion.
What inspired you to pursue a career in entertainment journalism?
Beauty of movies is fact that it has power over people.
Felt like a few interviews I saw almost like PR activities. They're not real.
How the lack of box office and the silence of the phone affects an actor.
People stop creating toxic content. The people consuming it will get used to not consuming it. People need to understand.
Every sort of thought process needs to coexist in society.
Mohar Basu is an author and journalist and is currently the chief correspondent, entertainment, at Midday. Her work includes coverage of censorship in movies and OTT platforms. Her reporting contributed to industry changes, such as the creation of safe spaces at casting agencies and talent management companies. Her maiden book, Shah Rukh Khan, Legend, Icon, star released in November.
So tell me, what inspired you to pursue a career in entertainment journalism?
Ashna, I don't want to lie about this. I never wanted to be like creative journalist because I came from. So I studied a bit in Canada. I did my schooling the later half of my schooling at college, university in Canada, and I wanted to change the world. Okay, so my idea was to actually go to Delhi and pursue journalism like city journalism or crime journalism. It so happened that it was the year actually 2012. This was the year of the India attacks, and I got an offer from Indian Express and was very scared to go to Delhi because I was like, I don't think I can lift it. The very fact that that's happened to one of us and the brutality of that crime was just so heavy on me. I said, I can't go to Delhi. And I was writing in the side while doing my master's, and I got a call from this website called Koi Bori for my responsibility. They said, "Why you come full time on board with us?" And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And it was a very chance thing. Entertainment journalism just happened by chance, and I'm so grateful. Sometimes God has better designs than you have in mind. So I suppose that's how my life panned out, and that's the story that I believe in. That if something doesn't work out, I tell myself it's okay. And so it's been all right so far. So you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Like, they always say, shut the door, window open. You have no idea, two doors have opened.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I really think that I have thrived in this good. I really enjoy the world that I've come into. The world of movies is something that and I also want to make this world bigger. I want people to consume great content because 10 years of doing this, 10, 15 almost now, I feel that, the beauty of movies is the fact that it has power over people. It has ability to influence an entire range of mass and diverse society, which I don't think any other medium has. So, what movies we are making, how it's being made, what's being better. I think it has a great and a far-reaching. Being an entertainment journalist has been, it's been dreamy for me in that sense. That it's stopped the dreams of me.
Absolutely, you're right. Because in our country, I think there are certain industries that impact the audience way more than any other. So I would say cinema is one, cricket is another. Our country thrives on these two mediums. So what they say, what they do has a huge impact on our population, how we think and how we feel. So Teddy, what were some of the biggest challenges you face while you were starting out?
Honestly, I want to tell you a sob story of how many challenges, but they weren't touched to any. I really loved out. People say ना जो आपका होता है शहर में वो आपका हो ही जाता है. So from the day I entered Bombay, I literally don't remember having many challenges per se. You'd assume that access would be a challenge, yeah, right, for young people who come. So the access is a very big challenge. Maybe I entered the industry at a time when it was way more accessible because the year 2012, 13, it was way more. I was starting out at a website that had some reasonable presence. It was started by trade analyst Owen Matter, so it had some name, it had some traction. So publicists were more than happy to give me entry. They were like, "Oh, you're from Coimbatore, you could come to do this interview, do that." So I never had those issues. I think the challenges were more personal and it started a little later. Where, the first few years are great, because you are still like half smitten by the movie industry and half wanting to change the movie industry. So it doesn't go very.
Also, you're young and frivolous and have the capacity to consume everything that's happening to you.
Also, you are young and privileged and want to live light on edge, so the fear is a lot later. Correct. So the challenges started coming a lot later. So when I remember my first job after I quit and moved to Tanzania. It was even better. But what happened was that there were different challenges. Where do I want to take my career? What do I want to do with my career? So do I want to be that journalist who wants sassy at the start? No, I don't want to be that. So what do I want to do? So I think that took couple of years to find, and I did not find it till about 2050. But I think the sort of autonomy, the sort of mentors I got here, the leadership I saw, the kind of stories that I did there, I didn't. That's where I found my voice. Till that point, I didn't know who I was at what I did.
But I think when we're younger, we don't really have a voice of our own. It comes to the experience. So maybe years of doing something, trying out different angles and verticals of the same career, then finally gives you a brain and a voice to exactly what you want. I think for any career, like I was in the fashion business for the longest time. I started out when I was 17. And I think by 28, I've figured out and which direction I don't want to go and which one I do. So I think it comes with years of experience. I think uh, it would be wrong to say that when somebody's starting on the ship, if they have so much clarity, it's kind of rare. I don't think anybody has that kind of clarity. If you see very successful people, they started out with something else and then they lined up with something else, completely boomed. So I think everybody learns. I think that's what life is about, right? Enjoying the journey, enjoying where you're going, and enjoying how it's going, I suppose. But there's one point of difference when it comes to journalism per se. A lot of the kind of journalist you are depends the place you belong and how much you're allowed to do. Because every media house is serve its own allegiance. Yeah. And every media house will give you a list of dictats of things that can or cannot. So how you turn out as a journalist or your own skill set actually develops in the world that you're operating in. So that is very important, which is why I do give Midday a lot of credit for putting, maybe the integrity was always there. The sense of idealism, wanting to change things was always there. I don't want you with it. Which is why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. But I feel that sort of encouragement comes from a in media more than anywhere. Yeah, the kind of stories you do, it completely is the journalist's credit, sure, but it also is the organization's credit, your editor's credit, who'll say, okay, you want to put your neck on the line, I'm backing you, go for it. Our legal things are there. If you get sued, we'll take care of it. I don't know how many journalists today can say that with confidence कि अगर हमने ये किया तो हम मतलब हमारे पीछे कोई है या and that's very important in journalism because why are you in this industry? This industry it doesn't pay well. Let's start there, okay? It's not a very muddy cake either. So you stay for the love of the work you do and sort of idealism that you sort of romanticize idealism very properly, right? Yeah. So if your romantic idealism is not met with the organization that you're staying with, most journalists are actually exiting the industry because they're not able to find editors who will back them. And then the passion, how long will it last? Passion doesn't last very long if your paycheck is not great. So either you get the paycheck or you get the passion right. कुछ तो ही मिलना चाहिए. Yeah. And all you get, you make sure that you are making the difference in the world and people are supporting you making that difference. Absolutely. Yeah. So how has work in entertainment journalism changed the way you view mental health, both personally and professionally? So, I, of course, like you said, it comes with experience. Now I feel I am able to handle it a lot better. But there were very, very dark phases. Like I remember in 2018 when I was reporting on sexual harassment in the industry, though media movement. It was very dark. It was extremely dark for me because I went into I went into a very dark place because every day you will speak to stories of women, many and many women who don't want to be late, but they want to talk to you. So you become more than a journalist, you become their counselor. They're just belting up to you. आपको पता है मेरे साथ कैसा किया, फिर मेरे साथ ये हुआ. And it just, that story stays with me. And there's a pattern of sexual harassment. And when I was reporting on that, I went into a pretty dark space. Like I found it difficult to get out of bed on days because I was like, what is the point of doing it all? I keep telling these women ki sab theek ho jayega. You fight for it, you come out with your story. And of course, people, are going to take top situation. But we're at 2025 and I know the number of predators who have gotten out of the situation and are back working in this industry. And so many of those survivors who are out of this industry to this scope.
So I don't know what was I fighting for. That weighed very heavy. But what happened was after that phase, I sort of got a reality check. Like you cannot become so invested in a story that you forget a sense of pattern. Correct. What happens is you cannot let it affect you to the point that you break down. Because if you are the story person who telling their story, then it's your job to stay strong and stay upright. Yeah. That stay strong came over time. I think it took me a year to find my groove again. I would get so triggered and I would meet so many of these directors actually who would like in back in the business have been normalized by people. And I don't know how is anyone hanging with this person? They know what he has done. How can they be this? But the world works like that, works like that, and you have to do your bit and then move on. You can't do more. You cannot change the world. You can do your bit. So please try and do this. That's about it.
Absolutely. I think anyone who takes charge or responsibility for the whole world will be disappointed. Because one person alone cannot change the world. And even if, let's say, 100 women were working towards that women or 1,000 women were working, look at a population. How do you change 6 billion people? You cannot. So, experiences which you shared or they shared with you, and obviously we all are human and we get affected by everything that's happening around us, and especially if there's so many women personally telling you what they're going through. I think that it had a huge mental impact. I know people or counselors or psychologists who spoke to quite a few where if they're dealing with a lot of rape cases, sex cases, sex trafficking cases, they ultimately, go home and don't want to be touched by their partner. So it be a human, right? We get affected by everything happening around us. So if that's the energy you're surrounded by, of course it brings you down. But I think kudos to you that you brought yourself up here and said, in the end, it's work and I got to do it and I got to survive it because we all have to survive. The world's never going to be a garden of hope.
Absolutely. And I actually agree with you. I remember there were spaces that my dead partner had just discussed these cases and would be like, how a man is ridiculous. Yeah, but when are this ridiculous? Your tribe is this ridiculous. It's your fault. I remember the very fact that he never took it was he said, yeah, okay, but okay. I think we need to learn. I think so. I think that also is very important. That taking stock of situation was just so important. But I will tell you, Asha, I remember the space where I had so I never had acne on my skin. I've always had mashallah good skin. And there came a phase because of stress, which I did not know. My face had a massive breakout situation. And I had to go for Ranveer Dipka were getting married and there was a reception. They had invited. I said, I will go because I look happy. And my doctor just you were like, you have to go for it. How can you say it? My friends were like, no, you have to come. I said, no, no, coming. I don't. I didn't even go. I remember that we were supposed to leave at 8 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, I was not ready. I was taking home. My friend Tushar, he called me. It's like, you have to go. Oh, and we can't stay at home. We have to go. We have to go show our face. These are people we work with. I was like, I have not washed my hair. He's like, just go, show your head, pick me up. You're going to this. I actually ended up going, but I remember the phase where I was feeling so horrible about myself. My face had changed and it was all caused by stress.
Yeah.
I really think young journalists in this industry should, first of all, guys, please have multivitamins. Yeah, okay. It's gonna get bad if you don't take multivitamins. Then you only eat secret in it. I didn't know how bad anxiety could be till it happens to you. I used to think, no, anxiety क्या है यार सबकी हो जाता है. Today I realize I'm like, okay, no, anxiety is a real thing. Your gut will get your face will get you have to really take care of yourself. Work out every day. Do whatever makes you feel better. Eat right. Please eat at home. But just take care of yourself. Because mental health has a very, very big impact on how your physical health functions.
Absolutely. So, I don't know why people separate mental health with physical health, but it's actually intertwined. So, brain is a part of the body, just like any other organ. If one organ stops working, the lung, the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, we're like, oh, my body's not functioning, I'm unable to play sports, whatever. But people don't understand, even if the brain malfunction and malfunction means it's not thinking in the right direction, it's not functioning in the way it usually functions. If there is a glitch there, people don't realize it's exactly the same thing as any other organ glitch. You have to fix it. So mental health issue people think have to be when somebody has gone to an extreme mental health condition.
Yeah.
Mental health condition can be anxiety, extreme anxiety. You have extreme anxiety, you can't get out of bed. You have extreme anxiety, you're not making it to work. You have extreme anxiety, you can't have conversation with people in your family or your friends. So it means there is something missing, there are something's gone wrong. You have to fix it. Hence, we are trying our best to speak about normalizing issues that every day everybody's facing. Yeah, we all have anxieties. We all have days of extreme sadness, days of not getting out of bed, days of being affected by people around us. Trying to understand why we feel a certain way, what our triggers and our patterns are. So this is what mental health is. I don't know why people still saying that mental health needs something extreme. It isn't. It is in your everyday life. It starts when you're younger. It starts with something as basic as, uh, the palpitation. In your heart. That's very small. Yeah, it's that little. Then you'll be like, you'll have breathlessness. You'll have one bad stomach day, and you'll be like, "Arey, kuch hi shayad kuch galat kha rahi ho." By the time you're hitting your 30s, you're like, all these symptoms that were minor become regular and it becomes so much more pronounced. Yeah. You really need to know how to handle yourself. Absolutely. Oh, it is very, very bad. It is very bad. And unless it happens to you, you don't realize. You don't realize because it's very hard to learn from somebody else's experience. It kind of uh, has to happen to you for you to realize. So that you to work on it also. A lot of people realize that they have it, but they never go and they kind of keep trauma dumping on other people. And that's how the world is becoming a more broken place. Yeah, that's their coping mechanism. Yeah, wish everyone should get a shrink and every shrink should also get a shrink. Every shrink needs a shrink. I think every shrink has a shrink also. They are smart. And they call them mentors, but everyone has somebody's puppy. Absolutely. And I think it teaches. Of course it does. So that the entertainment industry is often seen as glamorous and not stressful. How do you think this impacts on mental health of people working in it? Besides you.
Honestly, it is glamorous, but to say that this is glamorous, shiny, and thus, they don't have issues is the worst idea that I ever heard, in fact. And go any film set, any of your friends who are crew members, directors, actors, they tell you they have the most high stress lives. And why so? Think of an actor. He's projecting. Right? The actors that we see, none of them are real. This whoever they are,
The characters they're projecting.
no, also like suppose we see XYZ and the person is family man, very caring, very affectionate. A lot of it is constructed because no one can 100% be all of these things at the same time. Right? So all that is constructed. So anything that sort of damages their image kind of really, really puts them in a place where they start acting. And the whole industry hinges on an actor's fragile ego. It's that simple. So, be it managers, publicists, other actors, directors, crew members, writers, everyone is in service of the actor. I think the indie film industry really puts too much of importance on an actor, rather the star, not an actor, so a star. Everyone is in service of the star. Why? Because the star is what brings a money. That's by there. But the thing is when आप किसी को इतना ऊपर चढ़ा देते हो जब, you make them so infallible, they become like demigods, right? When you do that, you also are like you're putting the ego at a different level. So they start believing that
Anyone tells you you're the greatest singer of the world, eventually you start believing it, even though you knew at the beginning you're not the greatest singer in the world.
absolutely you're right. Who have a sort of objectivity about themselves, especially most of these people live in a sort of a box, like a bubble.
Yeah, they live it around.
They live in a bubble. There's a big problem in the Hindi industry. We keep saying our films are not working. Look at South who Pushpa बना रहे हैं. वो Pushpa क्यों बना पाते हैं? Why are their films working and why are films not working? It's because our actors are not in sync with the mass of the country. Why are they not in sync with the mass of the country? Because there's a machinery that is around the actor that is kind of like being a barrier between them.
It's limiting.
It's limiting. And they have created these barriers because these barriers, they could be self-important. When there's an entourage of 20 people walking behind them, they love it. It surely feeds their ego. But what it does is, you cannot go out and have a simple conversation with a local person in India, like the Padwadi or the chai guy, who will tell you ki wo kahan se aata hai, what is his story, what has he done?
And that's the audience.
And that the audience, and that is what is going to nourish your brain. So you are not working towards nourishing your brain. If you're not nourishing your brain, you will not be able to see cinema for what it is. That's why our cinema is extremely derivative. You know, I was reading a news report about how 2025 has about like 50 sequels coming and remakes coming. And I'm like, why are we going for remakes and why are we going for sequels? It's because we have lost stake in our channel. We have to go to the masses and speak to those people and understand what are they looking for. What is that story that will go with them? You have to open your brains up. You know, this industry started working as a church machine. Yeah. So you're trying to just bring out a movie every Friday and you in the hope that it will work, and it's not working because you're not being honest.
Like a hamster wheel.
It's like a hamster wheel. So you gotta do that. And you know, this is what is causing a lot of duress to everybody, to the staff, to their directors, because they are like, we have to be in service of the staff, to the producer who's putting the money and being like, यार ये पैसे तो आ नहीं रहे, लोग पिक्चर देख के जा नहीं रहे, but हमें तो पैसे डालने पड़ेंगे ना, because the industry has to continue. So how do we do it? They are in new. I'm not trying to blame the staff. What I'm saying is that there's a course correction exceeded.
The ecosystem needs to, the ecosystem needs to change.
And I think what has happened is also earlier films were very producer driven, right? Like a producer, a writer, a director went to an actor, सबने साथ में picture बनाई. But now it's become a completely studio structure. And studio structures have really led to that demise of art and cinema. You know, of course, they're putting the money, but that's all they are. They don't have the creative bent of mind because they are MBAs trying to do this job. MBA वालों को नहीं पता होगा पिक्चर कैसे बनती है, लेखक को पता होगा, लेखक से बात करो, निर्देशक से बात, you have to talk to the writers and directors, they are gonna make the right. So I feel that sort of course correction will really change the industry and will reduce everyone's work stress. Another thing that has happened finally is the fact that a lot of these management agencies they have come. Now the job of the management agency is actually to sort of be a segue between the director and the actor. But their job profile has become so much decussated now that they record scripts of first for the managers and they'll go to that. So it's not supposed to be written a script and you send it to your HYZ actor friend. He's not reading, his manager's reading. He doesn't have the time to read. So he's not sure also what he's reading. Yeah, you'll get perspective. It changes. They get filtered by someone. What you like, what I like could be done absolutely. Right? So I feel that these all middlemen are kind of adding to everybody's stress. They are adding to the stress because the writers getting frustrated, they are not even getting read. The actors getting frustrated. I can't believe the number of times I hear this in podcasts where on film podcasts, actors will come and say, the industry really needs good writers. What has happened is the industry really lacks good writing. No, guys, the industry doesn't lack good writing. The writing is not reaching you. How will you ever read the material if you're not reading the material yourself and someone else is reading it for you? You know, tell me there's so much trash. That is not.
Yeah, it's like, you know, how there's a poop chain. There's a chain here as well in this industry and dysfunctional. Then, you know, where get the results.
Exactly. And that's why the results are not coming. Because we are not chasing stories. Actors are not chasing stories. So that is causing one half of the stress. What's happening to journalists? Journalists suddenly want to become influencers. They don't want to go up. They are also not going after a story. They want to be famous. I think the core emotion of why people become journalists is the competitive industry and really this.
I think for most people it's become the trend. I think social media, awareness, you know, before going back 20 years, it was just the TV, right? And just 20 channels, which were cable, and your 5-7 basic tracks. Those were the only mediums to be famous. And I think that kept it very complex, very compact. That, okay, you had to do certain things to become famous. Now, because anybody can become famous doing anything, that kind of also deviates you from your roots. Because you think, what if I just did this and I became gay? You start kicking anything as a way out to belong gay. Exactly. And what happens to your passion and motive? Look, what are you in this for? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, what are you in this for? Like, I see young journalists, like, educated journalists, like 2-3 years at the industry. They get so excited when they have to interview Hrithik Roshan. Is that the goal? Is that the goal? Like, what about the copy? What is the mask? And so you see the quality of interviews that happen. Yeah,
They say the podcasts are doing better than interviews. Why are they doing better? Because our interviews have become very mandatory. It's almost that is also in service of the staff.
I felt that. I felt like a few interviews I saw are almost like PR activities. They're not real, which is why I feel that you know, when you have people to have a conversation, today I'm having a conversation with you. I'm not here to elevate your position. I'm here to talk to you about struggle, mental health, and your industry. If I was here to put you on a pedestal, it's very easy. I have to ask you 5 rosy questions and you'll have 5 rosy answers to get. So yes, you're right. I have seen that shit in interviews today, which is why a lot of people are interested because I don't want to hear praises. I did praising the person in my head.
You know, Asha, I was working on this book on Shah Rukh Khan for Shah Rukh Khan Legend Acting. So I was researching, on something on a book I was working on. And while I was going through older interviews of the 90s, 2000, I realized how they grill the actors. Yeah, it is fun to watch. Not because I want to put them in a compromise. No, 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 it's not that. It's just that it's an interesting conversation. It's challenging and it brings out facets at the start that I don't get to see. It's not just about the movie, the craft, the character. It's also about the person because in India, the star and the person that they are getting defined.
Yeah.
So you want to know what the person is, their beliefs, where they come from, their person. So that's why the 90s stars have endured. They have been in the industry for 30 years and been gone for the next 30.
Yeah, because you'll end up loving someone whose raw side you know. If you don't know the raw side, right away, or this refined, made up side, then it's very hard to love the person for a long and the loyal
Exactly. So you don't know the person, so you're not knowing the but that's the new generation of some PCA. So I feel that again, this side the ecosystem also needs to change. Why are you hiring Lily Case Cook, whatever on Instagram? I want a selfie. Because selfie could be one of the 30,000 things you can want from it. But you have to also want something bigger, something that will last the test of time. And something more meaningful. I feel that the whole love for the written word needs to come back a little. I'm not saying it's just the written word in the little sense of term, but it has to be more than social media. Correct. It can't just be ki, oh, my grid is full of one selfie, second selfie, third selfie, fourth selfie, and look how famous I am. All the actors love me. But the actors are काम नहीं है to love you guys. Move on. They're not. If you're not liked by them, that means you're doing something right. At least I just thought that when I was younger. If they are pissed off, then we should do something right. Of course, you should cross ethical boundaries. That is something you have to be very mindful of.
Correct. In anything in life.
In anything in life. But you have to want the better phase, yeah, something that could last the test of time. Because a photograph that says you start on 30,000 places and there are 30,000 other selfies. How are you, Sash? What have you got?
Absolutely. Have any celebrities opened up about petty death in the LGs with you?
Yeah, they have actually. Almost all of them have because I don't do PA interviews. I am a intro. So most of the times that I interview celebrities, it's always been about like khare on it because it's always been like that.
Yeah.
So it's been candid, very candid and very personal spaces. So they have opened up.
And you managed to get the right content out of them without them beautifying the content.
So I'll tell you, there's a difference. The older generation of actors, say someone like a Shah Khan, say, or this, they're very even Ritik for that matter. They're very open about who they are as people. Like the problem is the younger people who are not very. They don't want to discuss what's inside their heart because they are projecting. Because they also are catering to the social media generation. So I think the nicer, the more authentic conversations have always had for people who are a little more serious or someone who's more my age group. Like I don't remember who was this person, but just like if I'm not mistaken, it's Kamna. I met her at Manish Arora's fashion show, and just before the fashion show at Medical Park 8 event, she had spoken to me about Rangoon had just raised, what had flop. And I don't know. I said, but at least you've made it. She did. When there's no box office, you feel like shit. You feel like it's such a big loss for Yabai. And the fact when you can't get up on the bed and just move, your phone stops ringing for months, and you feel really terrible.
Yeah, that can really impact you. That you have nothing to look forward to.
I'm sure she had projects lined up at the point, but how the lap of box office and that silence of the phone affects an actor, something I think she told me. She discussed at length about. Deepika, I'm actually so proud of a woman like Deepika. I am so glad there's a Pain Street superstar who has come out and created this safe space for people to discuss mental health.
Absolutely, I agree with
I find it admirable. You know, last week when she spoke about that LLP person dying about an idea, I was like, thank you, Dilika Kadavu. Thank you so much for being that person who always is walking the talk.
Yeah.
And she has immense spirit, immense courage to stand tall in this industry that's always so easy to win.
Yeah, because it's superficial, right? And then it's hard to be the only person who's being weird.
It is so hard, but she's managed to do it. Very strangely, Ritik Roshan, so he hosted a party for his 25 years in the industry just last week. And he was talking to all of us, and at one point he was talking about confidence. He's like, he told me, he's like, Mr. Bachchan actually said even today when he goes out stage or he has performed, his throat gets parched. It dries up and no amount of water can fix it.
Wow.
So it happens to every actor. And I looked at Ludwig and I'm like, you mean Mr. Bachchan? And he's like, yeah, it happens to everybody. That sort of stammer, the stutter, the confidence, it happens to every damn actor. So they are play adequate with their meeting. Yeah. And the real stead is something that they got very, like, within themselves. So I think actors of the older generation and, like, you know, someone who's not like young in their 20s are very open about who they are as people, their mental health, and how a success, a failure has compromised. Or working with the filmmakers compromises sometimes. Or working with the co-stars compromises. I think they are a lot more open. And also, let's remember, pre-peak 2020, the world was a little different. Yes. They were very happy to talk about it. Yeah. Now they don't. Now they don't have a variety of reasons which are completely unsigned back. I'm like, okay, you don't want to have a conversation, but I completely get it. Because of the way they get trolled, imagine they've ended. I can't even imagine waking up to like hate comments every day.
It's been 12 years since you have been delivering exclusive news. How do you manage the pressure to break exclusive news while staying ethical and mindful of people's actions?
Very interesting question, Asha. I'll be honest, I have picked up a lot when I was younger. I didn't know. And once you fail, you learn.
Yeah.
So once you know that a story which someone has been hurt by, it feels bad, they make you feel bad. So you learn those lessons.
Give us an example.
Okay. This actress is currently a friend of mine and is married and has a kid, so I go to tape her. But I had written about her affair with the man because I was told at that one time that this is the sort of music. Turns out she was only having a fling, and she didn't want this news.
Obviously, nobody wants their flings out in their heroic.
A leading newspaper of the country had run it, and she got very upset. I think she didn't speak to me for a couple of years. It's great that you've been able to bounce back, but I think that's where I realized I don't want to report it. And thankfully, I found my editor, Mayank Shekhar, who really tells me don't write also. It's absolutely fine. एक तो गुड थिंग है मुझे आता नहीं है और वो माऊ में मेरे ऑफिस में आज तक आई डोंट रिमेम्बर एनीवन आस्किंग मी दैट यू नो व्हाट्स हैपनिंग विद दैट पर्सन एंड दैट they don't care. Thankfully, they don't care. And thankfully, I've never had to break that to the day.
Yeah, because I think not just in the film industry or a particular industry, I think in life, staying ethical is so important. So one, I would say our top is authentic, and then second is ethical. So if you can't be ethical, I don't think there's a way out. It will always at some point bring you down. So let's say, for instance, you became friends back with her. You were able to bounce back, you were able to, get past the story that happened. But what happens most of the time is people become bitter and they tell other people about how unethical you are. Yeah, and then that becomes so evil.
I'm sure it has happened. It's just that I did it for a very big.
I'm Jackie talking how people don't realize being unethical for even small moments can ruin who you are. And it's so important to stay ethical and respect anyone's boundaries because it's so important to remember what if you were on the other side. What if you had a moment of weakness and somebody made a scandal out of it? What would you feel? How would you feel the whole world standing there pointing a finger and laughing? But it, I think people, why wanting to realize it because everybody is trying to rise. Everyone's trying to get that position or that one article that make them popular among the journalist community. So I think it's a hard line, and I'm really proud of you that you have managed to figure those boundaries and figure out those lines, because these lines can get blurry.
No, so I tell you again, it goes back to where you work and who you work for and what they expect out of you. It also depends on the sort of workplaces that I've been in. Thankfully, I at a good time in my life, I arrived at a workplace where the importance of what is news and what qualifies as news in this newspaper was very clear. Right. And the focus was focus on their work, focus on their work, focus on change in the film industry, focus on the change that's happening in the OPD space. So I think the line of work became that. Yeah. Otherwise, till that point, I was obviously writing about what was selling. See, you can't even believe the newspapers, the news channels. In selling because people are consuming. Like, yes,
I know, but that's like a it's like a catch-22. It's a catch, but yeah, you say I am creating this content. I'm an influencer, for example. I'm an influencer. I'm creating this content, and you would turn around and say, "But why? How? Why I can't help it?" That's what people laugh. You are feeding, hence they're eating. If I stop of eating, they'll stop eating. It's like I stop making meat. You will ultimately, in my house, have to eat vegetarian food, and ultimately you'll get used to it. It's a very random example, but you guys stop cooking it, you will stop eating it, and ultimately you'll say, you know what, I just for Western food now, so 3 years I'm eating Western food. So if people stop creating toxic content, the people consuming it will get used to not consuming it. People need to understand. People all, look, I don't mean this to anybody in particular. In general, I feel like people, when they're creating content, they should be so mindful that whatever you're giving is what they are getting used to. When we were kids, you and I are probably similar generation. We were kids, it was very normal to watch a movie on a Sunday. Something you were allowed to watch on a Sunday. Now, at that time, the content that was given was only that. Hence, the population that is even today was consuming only that. Yeah. But now, we feel it's selling because they are consuming it, I have to make it. No, stop making, because whatever you make, they will consume. So if we are creating this content today, and if I say it, there's no point, you and I sit and boss it. And because that's what people are going to consume. I am giving them the opportunity to consume more gossip. I am going to be that one channel added to that gossip consumerism. So I think it depends on even people producing that. It's very easy to say everybody eats cereal, I want to make cereal. But if cereal is bad for kids, so I'm like, no, then the kids will get used to eating breakfast with eggs and no, they won't eat the cereal. You know, it's a catch spiking.
no, so I agree with you. You know, one of the things that I agree with is that if we stop giving, people will stop consuming. But I feel the film industry works hand in hand with voyeurs. And voyeurs itself, some. And that's the concept of most, even Reddit, if you see, one of the most popular things is Bolly Plights, right? Why are people going there? There was newspapers that stopped giving that. Because after 2020, what happened was people were like, oh, we want to be a little better. So now it has gotten shifted to Instagram, it's got shifted to Reddit. So now people are doing the same crap for them. It's a very odd setup. I feel that everything will find its way. Like, you know, voyeurism will find its way to people. It's what they try on. So I feel, while I agree with you, the producers should be very mindful of what they are putting out there. It's also inevitable. For example, I always say this, that movies of all sorts need to thrive in the same ecosystem. Bad ye kar do, bad wo kar, doesn't make sense. If you ban, then you're creating a very straight sort of a monster. Then now anything and everything can open and get banned. Correct. You shouldn't do that. And you know, 5 years ago, I didn't agree with this value system. I remember the first time I heard about it was from Manoj Bajpayee and Arjun Reddy had come. So, you know, he was in a podcast which my boss does called Sympathetic, and we started discussing Arjun Reddy. It became like a full-blown debate where Manoj sir said that कुछ भी ban नहीं होना चाहिए. Like, if you disagree, it has a right to exist. Yeah. 5 years ago, I didn't agree with you. But today I understand what you mean. Because every sort of thought process needs to coexist in a society. So, if something is toxic, let it be out instead of people doing violent things. You know, people can really get wild. I don't want that to happen. If they want to be toxic and produce toxic content, sure. But there should be enough and more to balance that. I think the balancing factors. Why? Why is there not enough to balance the hate out? Why are people so scared to make content that will balance the cut out?
That's what I'm saying. It's so important to stay authentic to what you want to do. Yeah. I just forget about numbers. Everything has become number. Everything's number. Forget the numbers. Put it out there. If not today, not tomorrow, 2 years later, it will find its space. Everything finds its space. And nobody in 2010 was gonna say that a 22-year-old in a bedroom is going to pick up 20 different lipsticks and the whole world will be watching her. For today that's happening. Yeah. So we just don't know what is gonna take off. Take your chance, take a plunge, let it happen, see what cooks next.
Absolutely. Like, very strangely, last year has been a year of films from the past releasing. One of the films that released was Laila Majnun. I still remember the first time I went to watch it in a theater. Theater Khai. I'm like, what a film they made. How is this theater? It did not promote the whole. I thought about every possibility. Oh, so in 3 days or 4 days, I think the film was out of theaters. Last year, it re-released and made twice or thrice more money than its original release. Because now it's a cult film. The world loves that thing. So it's amazing. So I feel just keep doing the good work. The good will eventually follow. At some point, right?
I agree.
Was the आज नहीं आएगा शायद कभी आएगा.
I agree.
The good thing will stay.
You say you walk the walk, it'll happen. It all fall into place eventually. How do you personally navigate the balance between reporting entertainment news and respecting privacy? Like, I know we spoke about how you had over the years learned. But let's say very tempting story comes your way. Would you in that
So depends on what tactic. Okay. If it's a story about, say, someone's personal life, someone getting married, engaged, divorced, having a bad breakup, I already have trained my brain the last 10 years to tell me, no, that's not useful. So if it doesn't register as useful, I don't be it. It's just a piece of gossip. Share it properly. Have it with my friends. We'll discuss it. You'll be like, oh, do you not hope this? What happened? What happened? It's over there. It's not. It does. It does go into my newspaper. I don't even pitch it sometimes. And even if I do pitch it, I know my boss is gonna say, ha, okay, that's not you. That's just gossip.
so you really evolve?
Have really evolved as I don't think I did that hierarchical bit for very long. I did it for like a year or two or something, not too much. And not too much. I was even then my moral compass was very like, no, how can we do this? I was a very nice child. I was like, how can you do this? No, this is not news. Why are they letting sons person? But I remember two of these instances where I had reported something that I felt really bad about. Even today, I think about it. It's really horrible. One was about an actor, his girlfriend, who were, they were publicly having an affair. They were sort of making out in public. I wrote that bit.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We have absolutely loved this candid conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashna. I had a ball chat.
Thank you so much.